So she's at the power plant. She grows a pair of balls.
She's got steel ovaries. That's what it is.
Yeah, steel ovaries.
This is where you belong. Don't make me wait too long. All night long. Yeah. Ooh, oh, yeah. Come on, touch me, baby. All night long.
All right, welcome to a very special podcast. This is the podcast where we rewatch your favorite TV shows from yesteryear, and then we talk about them over a glass of wine. Well, actually, it's more like a bottle. It's probably like 5 glasses of wine.
If it's wine at all.
At least for me. I don't know about you. Anyway, I'm Patrick M. Dunn. You might remember me from the previous, 8 podcasts? I don't know. How many have we done?
I don't know. I lost count.
The one thing we had to do is just keep track of how many there are.
We gotta keep track of how many we do when we don't.
Well, I've been trying to keep a buffer, only because in the event that something horrible, like the Ebola strikes and we need, one of us is in the hospital, we need to, pump out episodes while getting cured. So we're recording these, weeks in advance before they're released. So if we reference something that just happened, and you're like, why are they just talking about that? You'll know why.
Exactly. Why does he always go with the Ebola? We haven't talked about that in weeks.
They're like, we cured that, weeks ago. What are they talking about? And I'm joined here by Kat Halstead. But if this is your first time listening to the podcast, we normally watch a television series, like a half-hour sitcom. We haven't dwelled into the hour-longs yet. We have a hard time getting through the sitcoms, so we need a lot of practice before we break into a 90210.
And yet here we are doing a horror movie.
I know. But, this is an experiment.
Yeah.
So if you haven't read the description or the title, we decided to watch the 1985 classic horror/comedy, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Which, just based on the title, it didn't really seem much like a revenge story to me.
Not really. If it was a revenge, he'd be going after the kids from the first one that survived.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, it should have been Freddy's Return, maybe, or just A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole series could be Freddy's Revenge, though, because, the first one is him basically just coming back to life through dreams to get back at the parents in Springwood.
Exactly. His whole purpose is revenge against the parents that threw him in a furnace because he was molesting their children. So.
And in this one, that really didn't seem to be his end game. He just wanted to get back into the world.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that technically, it might have been a backhanded revenge story.
He thought, ooh, I could take over this kid's body, and then I can finish getting my revenge on all those nasty parents that murdered me in the furnace, and get to do it without having to go through the dreams.
We're only 2 movies into Freddy's superpowers. So in the first one, okay, so basically before the first movie, they don't show this. It's just alluded to. He basically kidnaps 20 kids, not all at once, I think over time, and he brings them back to this power plant, and he murders them, and eventually the parents are just fed up. So instead of going to the police, they just storm the power plant, and I guess they burn him alive. So that's why he's all burned in his dream. So he dies. His mortal body is dead. It's burned up. It's ashes. It's buried in the power plant, but his soul somehow escapes to the dreamland, I guess is what we call it.
Mm-hmm.
He lives on another plane. I guess before he got burned at the stake, he made a vow to the parents that he would be back someday, and he will find the kids somewhere where the parents going to protect them, which I guess is dreamland. Because, every child / teenager, it's mostly just teens. It's not really kids. It's young adults.
Yeah, he's going after the teens. He's not going after the kids.
No. So, basically, the first movie, he I don't know, kills a bunch of kids in their sleep, and the heroine of the movie, Nancy Thompson, she ends up saving the day, and she allegedly vanquishes Freddy Krueger, and, you know, she goes on to supposedly live a happy life, but you find out very early on in A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 that she was institutionalized after witnessing her boyfriend being murdered.
Which sounds about right. I mean, come on. And then her mother, like, killed herself in the living room is the story that everybody believes.
Well, I think Freddy Krueger killed the mom.
Yeah, and Freddy killed the boyfriend.
And, like, every other teenager in town, apparently.
Yeah.
All right, so right off the bat, like, all this has happened. Right off the bat. And I guess it's only been, like, a few years since that happened in between this movie. So, like, it's conveniently forgotten. Like,
it's 5 years later. It's, like, a new group of kids. Like, they've heard stories, but nobody really, like, I guess, talked about the Freddy aspect.
No.
That's the way I picked up on it.
Yeah, well, the new character, like the new like hero of the story is a young teen named Jesse Walsh, and his family moves into the neighborhood. So they like I can already see off the bat like they don't understand what's going on, but like the love interest Lisa, like she would have been like probably like 10 or 11 years old when the first events of A Nightmare on Elm Street happened. So I mean like she should have been aware of it.
Or at the very least, her parents should have been aware.
It's not like one or two kids in town died. It was like a bloodbath, like a massacre.
Yeah, it's like, well, none of these other teams, like all these teams who like have been there forever, none of their parents seem concerned. The only one who even brings it up is Grady.
So basically, the film opens and you see a school bus driving down Elm Street. I guess it's supposed to be Elm Street. So like they're coming home from school, and Jesse's in the back, and like there's all other teens, and they're all like one by one getting dropped off. And it's supposed to go to Jesse's bus stop, and like the bus just drives right by, and it's just going like really fast. And then all of a sudden, like there's a desert.
Yeah, there's like this desert area. Yeah.
It's Jesse's on the bus and two other girls, right?
Yeah, two other girls who I don't think we actually saw anywhere else in the movie. They were just like two girls in his dream.
Yeah, and I kept waiting for them to show up, but they never turned up. So the bus just drives into this like desert, and then like all of a sudden there's like an earthquake. The ground starts falling underneath them. Then it gets like nighttime. It's not really nighttime. It's just like a bad filter that the cameraman used. And then like the bus is just like teetering on these like two tiny pieces of land that are left, and it's just this huge like cavern. And now like Freddy releases it, like he reveals himself. He suddenly became the bus driver, and he's like walking towards Jesse and the two girls, and they're freaking out. And then it cuts to the kitchen of Jesse's parents, and it's like his two parents and his younger sister. They're like downstairs eating breakfast.
Yeah.
And you hear this like horrible like womanly scream.
Like giving Jamie Lee Curtis a run for her money kind of scream.
Like everyone in the kitchen, like the two parents and the daughter, they just kind of look at each other, and no one is concerned. Like the mother's like, "Oh, Jesse must be having those horrible nightmares again."
Well, like the sister's like, "Why can't Jesse wake up like a normal person?" So it's like, how long has this been happening, and you guys aren't concerned that every morning your son wakes up screaming at least as loud and high pitched as Jamie Lee Curtis does? I mean, come on.
They allude to the fact that this like has been happening for a while. Like they don't just like are even like slightly concerned. Like the father, I think, is like reading a newspaper, and he like pulls the paper down for a second, and he like looks at the mom who's like, you know, like slicing an orange or something. And then the daughter is eating cereal, and then I happened to notice the name on the box. It was called Fu Manchu cereal, and it was just like an Asian character like on the box.
Oh my god, I had to like put my hand on my face for a minute and be like, oh my god, is that really cereal?
Did you pick up on that?
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of like weird things in the background that I noticed. But one thing that I kept noticing though is so every time that Jesse wakes up from his nightmares, he's like completely drenched in sweat.
Yeah. Got like no clothes on, he's drenched in sweat.
Like it's like someone took like a garden hose and just like sprayed him down. And he's not concerned. Like, it's like not even worried. Like, even like I think his mom comes in the room at one point, and they're not even like concerned that he's just waking up like covered in like puddles of sweat.
Well, the mother thinks it's like the heat or something, the air conditioner not working. And the dad's like, oh, don't worry about that thing. Dad's just not caring. He's not like taking all these like signs that something is wrong and going with it. Totally ignoring it.
I think at one point, doesn't he think that he's on drugs?
Yeah.
And the mother's like, I think we need to take him to a psychiatrist. And he's like, I think we need to take him to a methadone clinic. Like, he just immediately jumps to the worst conclusion.
Yeah. Even though he knows there was a murder in the house.
Yeah, well, like, midway through the movie, I think Jesse learns about it, and he brings it up, and he's like, why do you think I got such a great deal?
Yeah.
The house was on the market for so long. Why do you think I got such a great deal?
Like, the dad is just actively not paying attention. Like, he knows stuff, but he just doesn't care to put it all together.
And then this is where, like, I'm completely confused on Freddy Krueger's powers. Because, so in the first one, he can only affect people completely in their dreams. But in this one, he has the power to, like, make temperature rise.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he spent 5 years honing his abilities.
Like, I think that's more powerful than being in the real world. So he basically, there's a toaster that's, like, on the kitchen counter, and it's not plugged in, and he makes the toaster catch on fire.
Dude, I'd be out of the house if that happened. I'd be like, nope, I'm done. We're gone.
I think the father's like, oh, it's probably a short circuit. And then the mother's like, it wasn't plugged in, dear. All right, so this is one thing that I noticed too. All right, so Jesse just keeps having these like horrible dreams. And so he wakes up every night and he's like shirtless, or he walks around town like partially dressed. So I think the actor like must have had it in his claws that he has to be like half nude through this whole movie.
Well, let's be real. How often is the female lead in a horror movie stripped naked or stripped down in some way?
Quite a bit. So this is like reverse horror movie rules right here then.
Yeah.
Well, because then there's this like whole weird homoerotic like subtext to the movie.
Throughout the entire thing.
Well,
the director did not pick up on it at all.
I think like it was written into the script, but the director didn't pick up on it.
It was written into the script. And then like the guy who did the props was also gay. So like that's why the game in Jesse's room is called Probe.
I was gonna bring that up. That's one of the things that I picked up on in the background. So
yeah, so like the props that you're kind of like, all on purpose from the prop guy.
All right, so I guess it's established that the Walsh family, which I guess is Jesse's last name, they've lived in the house for like a few weeks or a few months.
Like a month or so. Long enough that he's gotten to know Lisa well enough that she's coming by the house every morning for a ride to school.
Unannounced, like completely unannounced. So the whole house, like they show like scenes around the house, so like all the rooms are like everything's put away, everything's unpacked, except for Jesse's room. He still has like boxes that still have his stuff in there. All right, so Jesse and Lisa, like they decide they're gonna go out that night, and he's about to leave. And the father's like, where do you think you're going? And he's like, oh, I have a date with Lisa. And he's like, you need to unpack. And he's like, Dad, come on, I'll do it tomorrow. And he's like, no, we've been here for like a month. You need to unpack. So he goes out to his room, and he just like dumps out a shoebox onto his dresser, and he finds like a cassette tape, and he turns it in. It's what was it? What was the band name? Was Wish? Is that what we
Wish,
just?
yeah.
Okay, Wish. And it's just this like Go-Go's-esque 80s sounding song, and he's like he's doing that like dance / clean montage where he's just kind of like he's like putting stuff away, and he like does like a hip swing, and it like closes his dresser drawer.
Yeah, the butt swing.
Yeah, like they just do like a close up like on his jeans. Like it's something that like I don't know, like what is it? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where the girl like the sister is like cleaning and she's like singing with a mop.
Lip syncing.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, like the scene in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids where like the sister has to clean her like kitchen, and she's like lip syncing into like a mop, but she's like cleaning at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's basically what Jesse's doing, but it's a little different. He finds this like wooden pole thing,
which didn't look like anything really. I was just like, what is that? I could not think of a normal use for that item.
I didn't even know what it was. Like I tried to like find a picture of it online and I could not figure it was. It just looks like a handle to something. And he holds it up to his crotch and he's like playing with it. And he's like prancing around on his bed. And at that moment, Lisa and his mother come in the room. Like, oh, Lisa came here because like...
That's who you want into your room at that moment.
Well, because the first thing I thought was like, I don't... Because after his father was like, all right, you need to go clean your room first. I was like, I don't think he called Lisa to tell her that like he had to cancel the date.
Yeah, he didn't. He just didn't show up. So what if she shows up?
So... like now she's in there, like she's like no one, it's not like brought up again, so like she's like, oh, I'll help you clean, then maybe we can go out. So you know, she starts helping him put stuff away. That's where she goes into his closet. She finds the probe game, and then there just happens to be like a diary, like Nancy Thompson's diary is still there. It's been there for a month. He hasn't come across it.
It's covered in dust.
They like blow it off and they like read the first page, and she's like talking about a man that comes to her in her dreams every night, and like she's like, ooh, let's read some more because this sounds juicy. And then she starts talking about how his name's Fred and he has like knives for hands. And then Jesse is like a tense moment comes over him, and he's like, wait, what? So then he kind of she keeps reading and she goes on to about how that he witnessed her boyfriend being murdered across the street. And like it's all slowly starting to make sense with him because he's been having these weird nightmares, and then he sleepwalks at night, right?
Yeah, he starts sleepwalking. Like he goes down to the basement one night, and he goes into the kitchen. He goes out into the garden because you know why not? But he doesn't know he's sleepwalking because it's in the dream state. Like he wakes up and he finds himself in these places.
He wakes up. He goes out into the garden and he like looks into his own basement window from outside. And he sees Freddy Krueger in his basement, like at the furnace.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what the hell? So then he like goes in the house and opens the basement door, but he doesn't go downstairs, but you kind of like, you hear something. And is that where he goes downstairs and he finds the glove?
Yeah, that's when he goes downstairs and he finds the glove on the ground. After Freddy's like, starts talking about how they want to be like one, Jesse's the body, Freddy's the brain.
So this is kind of like Jesse's first real experience where he like witnesses Freddy Krueger. And I guess for his first mission, he has to go and kill his like gym coach. But there's like tension between him and the gym coach.
Well, yeah, because the gym teacher is like that guy who you're not even allowed to talk. Like you and your friend could be running, you guys could be keeping a good pace, but God forbid you say one word. Because then you're going to have to, like, plank until, like, the sun goes down.
So, basically what happens is, like, before we get in too far into the movie, Jesse's in, like, gym class, I guess, and him and Grady are playing baseball. And someone hits the ball, and it, like, goes up in the air. And, like, Jesse hasn't been sleeping at night, so he's not paying attention, and the ball just, like, clonks him on the head. And then he gets into a fight with Grady. Is that what happens? They get into an argument?
Yeah, they start fighting because they're not friends yet. And they start fighting, and there's, like, pants getting pulled down and jock straps being revealed.
Yeah, they get to the weirdest fight. Like they're, like, on top of each other, like, rolling around in the grass. And the coach is, like, strangely watching this. And the way that he doesn't send his kids to detention, he makes them, like, plank in the grass for hours. And then he, like, watches them through, like, his, like, office window. And Grady is like, oh yeah, the coach, like he's like really into like this weird leather bar and totally into S&M. Like he gets off on watching us. That is like Jesse's first mission, I guess, is to go and slay the gym coach.
Which is interesting if you think about Freddy's history.
Well, because he normally kills teenagers or like children, and like he wants Jesse to kill an adult. So like it was kind of like you're trying to like figure out his motive. Like was he helping Jesse?
I feel like he was trying to, like, show Jesse, look, what this power for you. Look at what it can get rid of. It can get rid of this asshole, you know?
All right, so Jesse wakes up in the middle of the night. It's pouring raining out, and he walks half-dressed across town.
Actually in pajamas. He's not naked for one. He's actually in pajamas, and he starts walking in the rain.
And I think but his like shirt's unbuttoned, so he's like still somewhat exposed, and he like walks around. I don't know. It must have been like across town. And he just, like, he finds, like, a dark alley, and it's just, like, a nondescript brick building, and there's just, like, one of those, like, neon signs. Is that, like, Gary's Place or something? and it was like blinking, like it was the light was about to burst out, and he goes into the bar, and there's just like probably a bunch of lesbians and like really strange men like dressed in leather, and he orders like a beer. Then he's about to take a sip, and his gym teacher comes over and like just shakes his head no, and then all of a sudden it cuts back to the high school. So they basically trespass. They're trespassing now at their high school.
It's like, you're gonna drink underage. I'm making you go run laps in the high school.
So he's now he's like running around the gym, and he's just kind of like watching him, and he has been doing it for a while, and he's like, all right, you got to go hit the showers now. And so Jesse goes into like the shower room, and then the gym teacher goes into like this like supply closet thing, which we're all like the tennis balls and rackets and all the like the gym supplies are, and the shelves come alive, and like balls just start like throwing at him, being like flung at him, and like there's a jump rope, right? So like the jump rope like wraps around his wrists, and they like drag him, and they tie him to like a steam pipe, and then like the power of whatever just like rips his clothes off, and then they take like a wet like steam towel, and it's like slapping him in the ass. And is it actually Jesse who kills him? Like, this is where I kind of get confused.
I think it's like Freddy took over Jesse, and then the big like claw.
But like,
because Jesse looks down and he's got the claw on.
Oh yeah. But like, all he did was just scratch his back, and that like apparently killed him.
Apparently, that's how Freddy works.
Yeah, like it wasn't like deep cuts.
No, they were like the kind like you might get if someone's a little enthusiastic during a roll in the hay.
Was it like deep wound? Maybe he bled out or something. I don't know. But I mean, it just looked like it just slashed his back. It like didn't go through him or anything like that. And then the steam clears. Jesse wakes up and he has the glove on his hand, and he like runs away. He's like, the police find him just like wandering around town naked.
And that's when the dad's like, Jesse, are you taking drugs?
All right, so I think there was one part that we completely brushed over.
Okay, which was?
All right, so I previously mentioned that Freddy has the power to make things warm and like hot.
Yes.
So he basically makes Jesse's house like really hot. So there's one scene where like the whole family's just like chilling in the living room, and they have like two parakeets. So like there's just two parakeets just chilling in like a bird cage. And then you know that like drape that goes over the bird cage?
Yeah, so that they go to sleep.
So they go to sleep, which first off, I think owning birds as a pet is the strangest thing in the world. Why would you own a bird?
I don't know. I've never owned a bird. I had friends who owned birds, but...
They fly. They're majestic creatures. And then you just like throw them in this like tiny cage. Never mind two of them. All right, so they cover the bird cage. And the father was like, geez, it's really hot in here. And he goes over to like the thermostat, and he's like, it's 97 degrees in the house. Like 90... I've never seen it 97 degrees in a house.
Okay, it's like 78 in my apartment right now, and that's without the heat on.
Yeah, but like, what's the hottest that it's ever been inside?
I think in the summer it's maybe gotten to like 88 if we're not home and the air conditioner's not on.
Yeah, like I've never seen it like more than like 80 something. But like it's 90, like it's never 97 degrees outside. Never mind inside this house. So like no one's
Dad
like,
is actually ignoring this stuff though. The mom said get the air conditioning fixed, and he's like, no, it's fine.
yeah, we're just gonna
even though our son wakes up screaming at night.
Like no wonder why he's
mess.
sweating, because the house is just like 1,000 degrees. It's 97 degrees.
Exactly.
1 degree away from like a Nick Lachey band. So all of a sudden like the bird cage just starts like shaking, and they're like, what's going on? And they take off the drapery thing, and one of the birds is dead, and they open up the cage, and the other one like flies out, and it's like flying around the room attacking everybody. And it's about like, doesn't it scratches the father's face?
Something. The rest of the film, the dad's got like a band-aid on his cheek.
Yeah, and they make a reference like maybe it was rabid, but he doesn't go to the hospital to like get a rabies shot or anything. He just
God forbid you think of something like that in 1985. Come on now.
And then the bird explodes like midair. It explodes. It just
because that's totally normal. That's not like something that maybe we should be worried about.
And then the father accuses Jesse of like attaching fireworks to it.
Yeah, he's like, he put a cherry bomb in there. I just know, like, come on, a cherry bomb. Really?
even if he did, like, the wick of a cherry bomb's not that big. It explodes, like, within seconds of lighting it. And they were in the room for a good, like, 3 minutes before they even, like, that even happened.
He wasn't anywhere near the birds. Like, he came in afterward.
He came in, like near the end of the scene, was like, wow, it's hot in here.
Yeah. I'm telling the dad is actively ignoring
All the
all the
signs.
signs.
Like,
He's ignoring the fact that he bought a murder. Ignoring the fact that his son is having nightmares every night. He's ignoring the fact that it's 1,000,000 degrees in the house. Things set on fire. Things melt. Birds are going crazy.
doesn't the house get struck by lightning, too, at one point?
Maybe.
There's like one of the scenes when Jesse wakes up, he's like in the kitchen, and then like a bolt of lightning comes through the window and like just misses him by like inches, and I don't know, that was kind of weird too. So all this crazy stuff's happening. Like the mother, the father is just like ignoring everything, and the mother just plays along with it. Like they're the most like two-dimensional like horror movie parents ever. Like I'm surprised. Like they were perfect like kill-off material. All right, so we made reference to the murder of the gym coach earlier. So the morning following that, Jesse confides with Lisa. Last night, all this crazy shit happened, and like she's like, "Oh my god, I've been studying this diary. Like things get crazier and crazier." Like I'm still surprised she doesn't know like what's going on in this town.
Maybe she did grow up there. Maybe she just moved there a few years ago. Nobody told her.
Yeah, I mean that's entirely possible. Like, all they had to do was, like, go to the library. What did they have back then? Microfiche?
Yeah, they could have looked it up on the microfiche.
So, Lisa's like, we have to go to this, like, abandoned power plant because that's where Freddy Krueger used to work. And she explains how that's where he brought all his victims and that's where he was burned at the stake. So, she, like, now believes that Jesse is somehow connected to this. And she's like, so they go to the power plant. She's like, do you feel any psychic vibes? Like, she's totally into this. Like, she is the one who's, like, bringing the stuff up. And then, like, later on in the movie, she, like, then goes back to thinking he's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's jumping ahead a little bit.
She can't make up her mind.
No. Yeah, so, then at one point, Lisa's, I guess, is popular, because, like, actually, her family seems kind of rich, because they had that, like, big pool, and, like, they had that big backyard.
Yeah.
And she announces that she's going to be having, like, a big pool party that weekend.
But don't worry, her dad will not be DJing this time.
And I think he was, because when they, during the party scene, they were playing, like, 1940s, early 50s music. And he was, like...
Yeah.
He was, like, cooking on the grill. He was, like, cooking hot dogs. And for some reason, Grady couldn't go to the party. He was grounded, because he pushed his grandmother down the stairs.
That Grady, he's just, like, total awesome kid.
Like, Jesse's like, Grady, you going to be coming to the Lisa's party this weekend? He's like, no, I'm grounded because I pushed my grandmother down the stairs. So now we're at Lisa's party, and I guess, well, like, it was, like, the whole school was there, and, like, all the teenagers were, like, the parents were still awake, but, like, the teenagers were, like, slyly acting horny, like, suggestively. Yeah. And then it was just, like, it was, like, 10 o'clock, and the father was like, well, I guess it's time for us to go to bed, like, talking to his wife. And they go into their bedroom, and they, like, they pour, like, glasses of alcohol, and then they drink in bed. and then all the kids outside are, like, waiting for the parents to go to bed. So they're just like, all right, it's coming. And then, like, their light shut off. And right away, like, instantly, they just, like... They changed the music. It's, like, now, like, wild 80s music. And they have booze, too, don't they?
Yeah, they have, like, what looks like Coors beer.
Like, all this alcohol is just, like, hiding, like, in plain sight, basically. Just, like, underneath things, like, all while this party was going on. And then, like, they don't even, like, wait for the parents to fall asleep. They just, like, wait for the light to shut off. So, like, they're probably not even back into the bed yet. And they, like, flip the switch. And the father's like, oh, what are they doing out there? And, like, the wife's like, oh, well, they're just being kids. Let them have fun. Meanwhile, the mother, like, tells them that she's allowed to have the party until 12:30, which is, like, the coolest parents ever right there.
Yeah. I don't think I was allowed to do anything until 12:30 when I was that age.
No. So basically now Lisa and Jesse, they go into, like, the pool cabana, and they start to get a little romantic. And Jesse, like, very for a brief period of time, he becomes possessed by Freddy. Like a long, like Freddy Krueger tongue, like comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, that Gene Simmons would be jealous of.
Yeah. But it's like it looks like burnt sausage is like what it looks like coming out.
Yeah, it was not attractive. But of course, Lisa doesn't see it. She's just enjoying the feel of it.
So she misses seeing it, but like she knows that something happens. So like Freddy like starts to like emerge himself.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse's like, I need to get out of here, and he runs to Grady's house. Well, Grady's like sleeping. He's like, you need to watch over me. Like, do whatever I do, like just let me sleep. But if I start to act weird, just like wake me up. And so he's like, all right, fine, like whatever, I'll do that. He's like, I still can't believe that you came here to a man's house when you could have like been mounting Lisa.
Well, Jesse's like, something wants to get inside of me. And Grady's like, yeah, her name is Lisa. But yeah, you want to sleep with me. And it's like, well, it's obvious.
So Jesse falls asleep like in Grady's like chair. And then so Grady like stays up, but he's like watching TV, but there's nothing good on. And he's like, whatever. And he just like goes to sleep. And the second he falls asleep, Jesse like awakens as Freddy Krueger and he starts like screaming. And like Freddy is like trying to like claw his way out of him. And he like jams.
Is this when Freddy comes like bursting out of his chest?
Yeah. So my first like impression is I think Jesse's dead now. Like like physically he's gone. Like his body just got mutilated.
You think Jesse's dead?
Like that's what I thought. Like that's what you would think. Like
Well, yeah, something just came bursting out of his chest.
Like I know they take a lot of like spiritual liberties here, but a man just basically like rips Jesse's skin like off his body, presumably killing him. So now he's like Freddy Krueger, and Grady can't get out of the room. Like the door's locked, so that's another strange power that Freddy Krueger has. Like he can like make doors not open.
Yeah.
So he's basically like the most powerful like not human like being in the world. There's so much stuff that he can do from his dream world, but he wants to come to the real world.
Hey, why not? He's got the power, why not? The best part is Grady's dad is on the other side of the door going, Ron, let me in! Ron, let me in! And I'm like, who the fuck is Ron?
Yeah, well, because they call him Grady through the whole movie.
I have in my notes, Freddy Krueger coming out of Jesse's body to kill Grady. I crossed out Grady. Ron. Huh. I thought his name was Grady.
I actually, when the father started calling him Ron, I went on to IMDb. His name is Ron Grady.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a long time before they even mention Lisa's name, too, because I kept just calling her the girl until, like, the last, like, act, and I was like, oh, her name's Lisa.
I didn't know Jesse's name at first for a while. He was nerdy guy who's not nerdy.
Well, in the very first scene, he looks, like, really nerdy, and then all of a sudden, like, when he wakes up, he's, like, a stud.
First he looks like something out of Revenge of the Nerds.
Like, in the first bus scene, he kind of has, like a Revenge of the Nerd look. And then, like, when he wakes up in the real world, he has, like, a Ted McGinley kind of look. That gets a little confusing, because I remember when I first watched the bus scene, I was like, I always, in my mind, like, I didn't picture Jesse being that weird and, like, nerdy-ish looking. And then I was like, then they show him the next scene, like, when he wakes up, I was like, was that the same guy? Like, or was that just, like, a weird prelogue to everything? I always assumed they were the same person, and then when I watched it again yesterday, I was like, wait. Is that two different people? Oh, I have to tell you, I meant to bring this up earlier.
Oh, God.
Speaking of the bus, like the bus incident. So, like, the first day of school, I can't remember what grade it was. Maybe, like, 4th or 5th grade. So we were driving home on the bus. So the bus is, like, making all its, like, normal stops. We're, like, getting close to my street. And it stops, like, right before my street. So I'm like, okay, so I'm anticipating that the bus is going to take a right onto my street and then drop me off. And the bus drives by our street, and we're like, is this fucking Freddy Krueger? Like, we're like, what's happening? So we're all, like, in the back of the bus, like, panicking. Just having, like, a panic attack. And, like, then the bus just starts, like, picking up speed. Like, we're like, all right, maybe it's going to turn around because it's kind of it's kind of like a weird thing. And the bus starts picking up speed, and, like, it's now driving faster. And I'm like, fuck, like, this bus driver is going to turn into Freddy Krueger right now. But fortunately, I'm still here.
See, I've never actually done the whole bus thing. Like, when I was a kid, we didn't have a bus. Because there was enough schools that were close enough that it wasn't far enough away that you had to be bused. So, like, the only time we rode a bus was, like, for summer camp, and you'd go to a stop. Like, you'd either go to, like, one of the 3 areas where you could get picked up, and, like, I remember one time, it was, like, because it was a day camp, and you could, like, get dropped off at, like, either the Y or one of the other 2 schools in town. And for some reason, I ended up next to this girl on the bus who would not, like, get out of my way so I could get off the bus. And, like, she went off the bus, and the bus started pulling away from my stop. Thankfully, my counselors behind me were like, wait. And they're like, girl, get up. But I've never, like, had to take the bus. So.
I was awful at the bus. Like, I sucked at it. I remember, because the same year that I got Freddy Kruegered with my bus, I was coming out of school. Like, you had, like, a short window that you had to catch the bus. So, like, school would end at, like, 2 o'clock. And then the bus would, like, leave at 2:05. So, like, the bell would ring and you would have, like, 5 minutes to get, like, all your stuff together and get to, like, onto the bus. And they didn't, like, keep track of, like, who got on it or not. It was just, like, at 2:05, the bus leaves. And if you're on it, you're on it. If you're not, you're not. So I missed the bus. Like, I came running out. Like, I saw the bus take off. And I was like, oh, shit. So, like, then I had to do the thing, like, where you have to go back into the office and you have to, like, call your parents or your grandparents or whoever you can get a hold of. But I was walking back and there was another kid in my neighborhood and I saw him and I get, like, he didn't take the bus for some reason. His mother always came and got him. You know, I told him I missed the bus and he's like, oh, you can hitch a ride with my mom. So I was like, oh, okay, that works. And, like, I figured, you know, we'd probably get home before the bus even got home. But his mother had to stop off at Kmart on the ride home. So we were there for, like, I don't know, like an hour. Meanwhile, like, my actual, like, bus, you know, it comes up to the, you know, the bus stop. All the kids get off, and I don't come home. So my mother didn't work, so she was just like, oh, where's Patrick? And, you know, she's, like, looking around, and then she sees, like, another, like, one of the girls in my neighborhood, and she's like, oh, was Patrick on the bus? We're like, oh, no, I didn't see him. So she calls up the school, because, like, normally if you missed the bus, you're supposed to, like, go to the office. And they were like, no, he never came in.
Oh, God.
So, like, now, like, the principal and the police are involved. Like, there's this, like, manhunt for me. Like, no one can find me. Meanwhile, I'm at, like, Kmart. So,
Oh, my God.
we're just, like, chilling in Kmart. I'm chilling with my neighborhood friend. And his mom's just, like, shopping, like, doing her, like, normal, like, day-to-day shopping. So, like, we come home, like, she drops me off, and I just, like, you know, just come, like, strolling. And she comes, like, running out of the house, and she starts, like, screaming at the lady that drove me home. She's like, I can't believe you, like, you should fucking call me. And then, like, then all of a sudden, like, the principal shows up, the police show up, like, my teacher shows up, like, all these, like, it was like a code red, like, in my town, just for, like, one missing kid. And it was just me. And I was like, dude, I was just at Kmart. And, like, I got a toy out of it. Like, his mom bought me a toy.
Oh, my God.
I think, like, Ninja Turtles or X-Men were big that... Probably X-Men, because it was probably, like, 4th or 5th grade. So I got, like, a Wolverine toy out of it.
Oh, my gosh.
And then I wasn't allowed to hang out with that kid for a while.
Oh, really?
For, like, a year.
Okay, I was like, we could walk to school until middle school. Because then we would have to cross this really, like, busy street, and the chief of police told my mom, nope, no walking to school. They can walk home because there's less traffic at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But my mom was always the one who would come pick us up, and she'd be the one who would give, like, the other kids rides. Like, my friend Donald always got a ride from us, even though he lived in a different part of town.
When I was in, like, early high school, like, 9th and 10th grade, like, pre-having a license, there was, I would get a ride home. Well, my mother would drive us to school, and then a neighborhood kid's mom would drive us home from school. But she was, like, the same way. She would only wait, like, 5 minutes. She was, like, the bus. So school gets out at 2 o'clock, and you had, like, 5 minutes to get all your stuff together and, like, get to, like, where she parked. And she always, like, parked far away.
Yeah.
She didn't want to deal with, like, driving through the school parking lot. So she, like, parked, like, the next street over. And it was always hard to get. Like, it's hard to get over there because there was a middle school, an elementary school, and a high school. It was all, like, in the same spot. So you had, like, 3 different schools, like, getting out at the same time, pretty much. I think they broke them. Like, the middle school got out at 1:45, the high school got out at 2, and then the elementary school got out at 2:15. So they stacked it. But it was still, like, pretty crazy because it was just, like, a madhouse.
What the hell time did you guys start?
I don't, like, 7:30 maybe? 8? I can't remember. I'm totally taking liberty on the times. It was just like
I mean, I got to school at like 2:30 from middle school and high school in New Jersey.
that was probably it. I'm just like just giving.
3 o'clock in grade school, but when I moved to Colorado, the times were all funky.
I'm just giving like generic times. So his mom would park over on like the next street over. So you had like a short window to get.
And you have to get through all those other cars and traffic to get to her car.
Yeah, and like my locker was like always in the back of the school. Travel through like 1,000 kids, and then like go through the parking lot, and then like go through like the middle school parking lot, then like hit the elementary school parking lot, and then like go by like the track. So like it took like 10 minutes to get over there, but she like would only give you like a 5-minute window. So you had to have everything ready. You couldn't like talk to anybody for a minute after school. And I would miss my ride so many times because of her. Like then I lived like 2 miles away. So then I'd be like forced to like walk home. And then, it's just awful. So then I finally got my car. Like I finally got my license. Like I think like the beginning of junior year-ish, around there. So I finally got like my license. And I had, what is like a 2-door, like a coupe? Is that what they call them?
Yeah, I think so.
I had like a Chevy LeBaron. It was like a 2-door, like a coupe. So, like, you know how, like, if you had, like, a 4-door, you can, like, it's a little more spacier in the back seat?
Yeah.
But, like, a coupe is, like, really, really tight. All of a sudden, like, you have no friends. Then all of a sudden you get, like, a car and everyone wants to be your friend.
Yeah.
Like, people are, like, all of a sudden, like, come out of the woodwork. Like, oh, yeah, I always thought we should have been friends. Like, how come we've never hung out before? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I have a car. I'm like, they're, like, friends forever. And I'm like, yep. Yep. All right, so one day I was driving home. I had promised like 10 people I would take them home from school this one day. So I had like, obviously I'm in the driver's seat, and then in my passenger seat I had 2 people in there like crammed into one seat. And then in the back, I probably, because it was like a coupe, I could only like comfortably fit 3 people, but I had like 5 people like crammed in there. And then my cousin was a freshman, and he lived like close. He only lived like half a mile. He could have like, it would have taken him like 5 minutes, 10 minutes probably tops. It's basically like my path to get to like where I got picked up.
Yeah.
And like, I don't have any room. He's like, I don't feel like walking. He's like, my legs hurt. And I'm like, well, I guess you can go in my trunk.
Oh my God.
And he's like, all right. I pop my trunk. He like hops in it, throws his book bag in, and he like shuts it, and I'm like, you're all right back there? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, all right. So like, I kind of like, there's a lot of speed bumps, so I kind of like go slow over them. And then we pull into his neighborhood, and we pull up to his house. I remember just like pulling up in front of his house, and his mother was like in the kitchen doing the dishes, and like it's the windows right there, and it has like the view of like where I pulled up. And I probably should have just like pulled like a few like houses up just to let him out, but I didn't. Like I just was like, yeah, whatever. I'll just like pull right up to his house. So it's my aunt, basically. So, like, my aunt's doing dishes, and I pop the trunk. So I have that little, like, that lever, like, in my car. So, like, the trunk pops up, and my cousin just, like, crawls out the back. Like, he, like, snakes out of it. And as that's happening, I look over at the house, and I see my aunt, like, in the window, like, you can tell, like, she's, like, doing dishes, and she, like, just stops. Like, she's, like, frozen. And she comes outside, she, like, goes to the door, she, like, just like opens the door. It's like a screen door, and she's just like staring, and you can just see her like mouthing like, what the fuck?
Oh my gosh.
But it was fun. Well, I'm surprised, like, if I had gotten in a car accident, like, they would have been like death and dismemberment. It would have been like the final scene of Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah.
Which is like the pool party massacre. To tie it back into Freddy Krueger, I guess we have to do that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, it's like pool party massacre, where the water in the pool starts to boil and it's too hot to be in.
So, first off, this movie has everything. It has horror, it has comedy. You get, like, it has all the tropes of, like, a horror movie in one. So, Lisa's wild party is raging. So, one of the girls is, like, in the pool, and she's like, wow, did someone turn the heat up? It's getting, like, really hot in here. Like, meanwhile, like, you see, like, the water start bubbling, because you know, like, that Freddy Krueger is, like, making everything hot again. And, like, there's, like, hot dogs on a grill that just, like, light up.
They're not even on the grill. They're, like, on a cutting board, and they just start exploding.
They're on, like, a platter.
Yeah.
So they explode, and then, like, doesn't like the fence catch on fire?
Yeah, like stuff starts catching on fire. Meanwhile, Lisa's like inside with Jesse, like arguing about Freddy Krueger.
Well, actually, I thought Jesse had left at that point.
Jesse left and then he came back because Grady's dead.
Oh, so he came back to tell Lisa that Grady's dead and that he's a monster. So he became... Wait, did he come back as Jesse or did he come back as Freddy?
He came back as Jesse, but Freddy's still trying to take over and gain control.
And then...
And Freddy starts gaining control while they're in the house.
Yeah, so...
Her parents come downstairs, like, Freddy has taken some kind of form, and the father's like, oh shit! And he goes and gets his guns. And Freddy jumps through the window. And he's running, and he, like, disappears. And then he pops up a minute later, like, in the middle of the pool. Or the deck or something.
Well, alright, so the father grabs a shotgun. And Freddy's like, oh shit, I need to get out of here. So he jumps through the plate glass window, and he disappears. So all the kids just see... All the kids see is just, like, glass breaking. And they all just look over, and they're like, what just happened? And then...
Like, what's going on, man?
Then all of a sudden, Freddy jumps out of the ground, and he just starts, like, killing teens. Like...
Which is totally not like how Freddy usually works. Freddy does not, like, physically appear. It gets so weird.
And they don't specify how many kids he's taken down. Like, it could be, like, 5, but it could have been, like, 30.
Body count of this movie is 9.
That's it?
That's it. But it is also the highest body count of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, for some reason in my memory, I felt like there was a lot in the first one.
Oh.
Well,
the murders in the first one are more elaborate. They're more gory. This one, scratch on the back after slapping your ass with a towel. You're dead.
And then getting burned in a pool. Yeah, like a bunch of people started falling in the pool, right?
Yeah.
And like the boiling water. And then like there was like an electric fence and like the whole perimeter of the house catches on fire. And then Freddy just like walks through the that bush that like shrubbery like fence.
Yeah.
And it catches on fire. Then like everything kind of goes back to normal. And there's just like a massive body. So I guess there must be like 8 dead people there then, because technically, actually 7 dead people there, because the only 2 people who are dead are the coach and Grady.
Yeah.
So there's 7 dead bodies. And it's like, okay, so Lisa bails. She's like, she hops in her car. She's like, I gotta go. And she just like drives to the power plant with like no plan. She has like no motive. Like she has no weapons with her. She didn't like bring like an army with her. She just went by herself. Like she's like, She didn't
think it through, but do most people in horror movies think through their actions before doing them?
No.
Not really.
But, I mean, you figure that you saw, like, your entire backyard, like, catch on fire. You saw 7 of your closest friends die. You just found out that Grady's dead. And the day before, your gym teacher was just brutally murdered inside the school. You would think that, like, you need to, like, concoct a plan, like, figure out a way to do this. But no, she just, like, is like, I'm going to end this tonight. Tonight, this is going down. And she drives to the power plant solo.
Solo is always better.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
I'll stick to solo.
So she's at the power plant. She grows a pair of balls.
She's got steel ovaries. That's what it is.
Yeah, steel ovaries. So she realizes somewhere that Freddy thrives on the power of fear. So I guess that's why he caused like mayhem at the pool party. That was kind of like his like homecoming, I guess. She basically decides to do the opposite approach. She's like, I'll just pretend I'm not afraid of Freddy. All right, so this is how she stops Freddy. So like Freddy basically just like ignites on fire, and like this entire power plant is, you know, like think of all the chemicals that are there, all like the radiation. I don't know, who knows what's there, but if that place just like even gets like catches on fire, it's going to be catastrophic. And she's like, all right, the power of love. I'm going to just kiss Freddy on the lips, and that's going to kill him. So
that's going to bring me my chesty back.
Yeah. So she just goes up, she kisses Freddy on the lips, and he just like, he like melts away. Like it's like the witch at the end of the Wizard of Oz just gets wet and she melts.
Yeah.
It's like the whole movie gone by, and like, wait. Like, all it had to do, you just had to throw a bucket of water on her? Like, what if it rains? Like, what do you do if it rains in Oz?
Yeah, exactly. He's this madman that has manifested itself in my closeted boyfriend's body I love you. I love you. I love you.
What if there was like a sadistic girl in the town of Springwood or Elm Street or wherever the hell the show takes place that was like into Freddy Krueger? Then like he would have been screwed.
But
But
she probably doesn't live on Elm Street, so he's probably not chasing after her. Because he really only chases after the kids on Elm Street, doesn't he?
yeah, like that's where I'm always like I was always kind of on the fence because like it's called Nightmare on Elm Street, but that power plant looks like it was like far away. That definitely was not Elm Street.
Maybe all his original victims were from Elm Street.
All right, so in A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, that's like where like the main narrative of the rest of the series really starts to take place.
Mm-hmm.
So like the first one is like set up. It was originally intended to be like a one-off movie about a man who just can come into your dreams and kill you and you will die in real life.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, because if something is mildly successful, you have to replicate it. And so they came up with the idea of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and Wes Craven really wanted to do this thing where he's like, all right, let's do something different. Let's like have, like in the first one, you know, it's obviously a movie. Let's do like a second one. We can use the same actors, but it takes place like in their real life, and Freddy like comes out of the movie and into the real world. And they were like, no, that's a stupid idea. So like they came up with this other idea, which ended up becoming Freddy's Revenge, and like Wes Craven disassociate himself with it.
Nope, I'm out. I'm
like-
done.
And he comes back for the third one though.
Well, yeah, because they ruined it, and he had to come back and fix it.
So he comes back, and the third one is actually really good. Basically, it continues the story of Nancy, and then they establish that there are people known as Dream Warriors. They have like powers, and they're like superheroes. They're basically like the Avengers of dreams.
Yeah.
And like this is basically the storyline that the rest of the series uses, basically until they rebooted the movie with the new Nightmare on Elm Street, where they just made it like completely sadistic, like, and Freddy lost all his comedic chops.
But that's because that's what they do with all these. They make it sadistic and gross and over the top. It's like, Like, I actually enjoyed sitting through this more than I would, like, something you go see in the theaters now.
Oh yeah, like I thought this was completely enjoyable, because if you go back and you read like the Rotten Tomatoes reviews and like a lot of the online reviews, this is like regarded as like one of the worst in like the original series. And
It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't.
no, I was like, I kind of liked it. Like it was kind of enjoyable. Like it was funny. It wasn't that
I
scary.
kind of liked the guy being the one in peril. The girl saved him. I kind of liked that. It was a nice change, because it's always the girl running away, and maybe the guy saves her if he's not the psychopath killer.
So what's the opposite of a damsel? Is it a dam? A dam in distress?
I don't know.
Never thought of it. Like it's never come up in like horror movies before.
Yeah. But among the horror circles, Mark is considered a scream queen.
Yeah, he's like the screamiest queen of them all.
You can take that many different ways.
Use it to your imagination.
He is an openly gay actor. He's married, lives in Mexico.
I was gonna say I did a little outside research. So he eventually admitted to being a homosexual. I think kind of recently, right?
I don't know when exactly.
But when
I didn't see that.
whenever the last A Nightmare on Elm Street movie came out, like the remake, they made a documentary about like all of them.
Yes, it was
And-
3 hours long.
And they asked him about it. They were like, well, what about like the homoerotic subtext? And he's like, oh yeah, it was totally there. Like we knew like
Oh, yeah.
all of it.
Like, almost everybody's like, oh yeah, it was there. Except for, like, the director. He's like, I didn't realize it until we watched the film once it was done. Like, not until he saw everything.
Like Jesse's like, well, he wants to be friends with Lisa, but like he doesn't want to be like involved with Lisa. And did you think that Lisa kind of had like a to me she had like a teenage Gillian Anderson / Lily Sobieski kind of vibe going on?
Okay, yeah, I can kind of see what you're saying.
Like she's like a 1980s like Lily Sobieski, but she kind of has like the gingerish like Gillian Anderson hair too.
Yeah.
Oh, these are some of the other things that I noticed in. All right, so in Grady's bedroom, he has a King Cobra poster, Cobra with a K. I guess that must be some kind of band from the 80s. He had a Stray Cats poster,
Okay, that was a band in the 80s.
and then Jesse has a sign on his door that says "No out of town chicks."
Because it looked like the I in chicks was like written in later. I was so confused by that part.
Yeah, it looked like he like used like whiteout and then put the I there. So I was like trying to think of what would have been there before, and then I was like, was that going to say cocks? I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what should have been there?
Okay, King Cobra was a band in the 80s.
And obviously the Stray
Hair
Cats.
band.
I always like because like when you go back and watch like episodes of like Saved by the Bell, like Jessie Spano will have like Edie Brickell posters in her bedroom. Like I just like to notice those kind of things that people have. And it's like, do you think these characters really listen to that kind of stuff, or like it was just like the set decorator that was into it?
Probably the set decorator for that one.
But speaking of like famous like posters and stuff, another thing that Jessie Spano always that I notice has hanging in her room is a pair of jeans she has like hung on her door, like
Yes.
framed pair of jeans, and I just like wonder like what is the story behind that.
I always wonder that too. I'm like, why those jeans?
We'll have to do an episode where we won't talk about like a specific plot of Saved by the Bell. It'll just be like things that are like hanging in the characters' bedrooms.
Yes.
I just love the idea of like what a set decorator thinks like a teenager of that time period. Like I always like try to like, you don't really like, do teenagers like hang up posters now? Like I feel like that's not a thing anymore.
I have no idea. I assume they do, but
Because I had like my younger sister didn't hang stuff up like in her room at all. Like she like I was like in my early 20s when she was like a teenager. She like had nothing hanging up, and I just thought it was like really weird. I was a boy and I had stuff hanging up in my room.
yeah, I mean, my walls were always covered with stuff.
I had Gwen Stefani. I remember.
But you know, there's some people who just don't hang stuff up. Like, I had a roommate in college. She had like one poster on her wall. That was only because my friends kind of bugged her about like her walls always being empty. This is before she like would just vanish for days on end. After my friend sat on her once.
All right, what are the name 3 posters or what celebrities that would have been hanging on your walls? In like
On my walls?
Yes.
Mark Paul Gosselaar, Joey Lawrence, and probably Jason Priestley.
Okay. The weirdest thing that I had hanging, like I still like laugh at this today. You know, like Shirley Manson from Garbage.
Yeah.
I had a Shirley Manson from Garbage poster in 9th grade, and I wish I had a picture of it because it is just it was just the funniest thing. It was a picture of her like she was like in like on like the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I don't know if there actually is a Garbage star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame or if they just like created one for the poster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the last time I was in Hollywood, I walked along Hollywood Boulevard looking for the Garbage star, and I couldn't find it. So I led to believe they just created it for the poster.
Yeah.
Because this is, like, when they first came out, and I'm like, I don't know, there's no way that they would have got one that quick. I know Butch Vig was in the band, and he was, like, kind of like a big music producer, but I don't think he had the pull to get a Garbage star. Well, I guess what I hear though is you don't have to be that famous to get one. You just have to have the money to buy it.
Yeah, you kind of have to like get the signatures or something like that.
Yeah, I guess it costs a lot of money though. Like it's like like Justin Bieber probably has one right now.
Oh God, I hope not.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Finding out. Okay, Google. Does Justin Bieber have a star on the Walk of Fame? Oh fuck. Is that a real one? Yes, I'll switch to your mobile site. He does not. Michael Jackson does, of course.
As we previously established, Michael Jackson is a star.
Yes, he is.
Even though you thought he was forever creepy.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get past it.
Do you have any final thoughts on Freddy's Revenge?
It was actually pretty tame.
Yeah, except for that like random ass scene. It probably could have just been rated PG-13.
And maybe if they didn't show Lisa's tits in that one tongue scene.
Did they actually show them, or did you just get like side boob?
You kind of, I don't know if you actually see nipple.
Because like you see side boob on like NBC.
Yeah, now you do, but not in 1985.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But like, it was kind of tame. I was like, okay. Then again, I haven't watched an old horror movie for a while, so.
Okay, my final thought. I don't know if this is just the version that I watched, but I watched it on Netflix. They didn't have ending credits. Did yours have like ending credits? Because the movie just ended like after in its final scene.
Yeah, it had end credits, I think.
Mine
For like 10 seconds, and then it cuts to the screen where it's like, watch this, or this, or this.
So this is how the movie ended for me. It's probably like the next day after this whole pool massacre happens,
Yeah.
and everything's seemingly back to normal. Like
Whatever normal is on Elm Street.
so, like Jesse like is going to school. Like his mom like kisses him goodbye. Like never mind. Like you just knew 9 people that died.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get back on the bus, even though he's like they established in previous scenes that he drives to school, like he has a car, but he's still taking the bus. So he gets on the bus. That's how you know like something's up. So he's on the bus with Lisa, and then like Lisa's friend, who's just like casually in and out of the movie.
Yeah. Who I don't think had a name.
Yeah, I didn't catch her name at all. Like she was in like 3 scenes this whole movie, and Jesse notices that the bus is driving too fast, and he's like, guys, is the bus driving too fast? And they're like, no, you're crazy. He's like, no, I think this bus is driving too fast. And there's like a tense moment, then all of a sudden, like the bus stops, and it lets on another kid, and then Jesse's like, oh, like it was nothing at all. And then Freddy Krueger just like explodes out of Lisa's friend's body, like out of her chest. And then it just, right there, my Netflix just cuts off and it goes right to like the what else do you want to watch screen. I didn't get like ending credits.
Wait, you didn't see them go off into the desert?
Well, I saw that too, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. But then like it's the point where it's gonna like fade to black and you're gonna get like the end screen, because I went to look at all the names and it just cuts back to like the, you should watch this now.
I feel like I got credits, but I could be wrong. I wasn't paying attention for credits.
Yeah, I usually don't,
When
but...
the what to watch next screen came up, I was like, ooh, documentary, let's watch that.
See,
I watched that until we got to the end of them talking about Nightmare 2, and then I was like, okay, boyfriend can watch football now.
Yeah. I was just like, this is the one time I wanted ending credits to come up, and they just weren't there. But thanks for listening to a very special podcast, and until next time.
Yeah.